Hey everyone, welcome to the Kubernetes Community Days. Hope you are all doing great. Today we are going to discuss how to get started with Kubernetes. Before that, let me introduce myself. I'm V. Srinivas, a tech savvy who love to explore and get fascinated by the fact how technology is changing the world. I'm a web developer and a cloud native explorer. Currently, I'm learning a lot of cloud native stuff. I'm an internet data on Kubernetes community and I'm doing a lot of open source too. Now, let's see the overview of the session or agenda, whatever you may call it. We are gonna talk about what is Kubernetes, why is Kubernetes, story of the Kubernetes, and how it is doing now. And let's get started. When you Google what is Kubernetes, you will get Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration system for automating software, deployment, scaling, and manage. Let's make this definition simple and make it into chunks and understand what is Kubernetes in a much simpler way using real life scenario. Let's say you have created an application and wanted to share it with the world. So you have deployed your application and its dependencies into the Docker and hosted it in the web. Say you have deployed on three different servers using Docker and your application started getting a huge millions of users and that you can't even imagine, and you're like, wow, my application is doing great, not thinking about what's gonna happen next. Your servers are shutting down, instances are dying now. You have to scale up fast and increase the number of servers when traffic is high and scale down when the traffic is low. And you're the one who is taking care of all these. These are the some questions that are running through your mind. How am I doing to how am I going to manage all these? Do I need to restart the server? Wouldn't it be easier if this behavior was handled by a system? All I need to restart them. Now here comes the picture of Kubernetes. Kubernetes says, hey, don't worry. I'll take off everything on behalf of you. Now this tool scale up and down, automates the process, manage the replicas, and a lot. A Kubernetes cluster consists of a set of worker machines called nodes that run containerized applications. And every cluster has at least one worker node. Even if a node fails, your application will still be accessible from the other nodes as in a cluster. Let me tell you how this project has started. As we discussed the developer application above as an example, now we'll replace the application with Gmail or YouTube. As of now, we all know how much traffic is Google is receiving. In the early 2000s, it was still dialing in its revenue, and internet advertisement was a relatively nascent thing. Google may not have an abundance of cash, but it did attract many very talented engineers. So Google created a new goal. They decided to engineer a system that could write every ounce of performance from its hardware, and not just any hardware but commodity hardware. And it did so by rethinking its infrastructure and application architecture, and thus Borg was born. Initially, Kubernetes was called as Borg or Project 7. Borg was built from scratch and it was uniquely designed for use at Google, not something that could easily be exposed to outside parties, and more importantly, it was viewed as a significant competitive advantage and rarely spoken of outside of Google. This primarily goal was, of course, cost saving. However, there were additional benefits, namely improvements in developer productivity. With Bog and many other systems, Googlers spent an enormous amount of time creating infrastructures, tools, and processes that significantly increased developer productivity by allowing them to focus on things that mattered. And the project was officially launched as an open source project in 2014 as a part of Linux Foundation. Now, Kubernetes is a leading orchestration tool in the market, and that's how Kubernetes started. And where is it now? These are some and these are some points why you even should take care of Kubernetes. Kubernetes provides an easy way to scale your application compared to virtual machines. It keeps code operational and speeds up the delivery process. Kubernetes API allows automating a lot of resource management and provisioning tasks. Because of its open source ecosystem, Kubernetes stands up way ahead of their competitors. And these are some awesome golden resources to learn Kubernetes from scratch, like from nowhere, from hero to from zero to hero. And there are some awesome global communities to join and get started with Kubernetes. And don't forget to check the wonderful Kubernetes GitHub repository. To be frank, to tell my story, how Kubernetes community helped me is basically I'm an introvert, and many of you know how introverts would be like. Being in communities made me to leave my comfort zone, made me to create content, and mainly networking with all like-minded people taught me a lot, get me into the awesome internship, and now I became financially independent in my freshman years. So, what would I suggest is do involve in the community work, learn in public, and maintain a good GitHub profile. Somehow, you'll guarantee get some global opportunities. And yeah, well, the time is running out. Cause it's been a lightning talk, I have to give it in a 10, give it in a 10 minutes. And yeah, I think you all are understood, and I think hope you liked it. And if you liked it, do share it on Twitter. Do tag me and KCD Bangalore and CNCF community. I will choose randomly a winner, and winner will get a awesome swag from me. And yeah, well, thank you for joining this session. If you wanna ask any question, you can find me on the Twitter and LinkedIn. You can just ping me over there or tag me in Twitter. Ask ask anything you can. Yeah, and that's it. It's time to say bye bye. Bye everyone.